My name is Rose Wong. I'm the owner of Kolohe Ocean Gems, and I'm looking to start two more businesses. One is another jewelry business called Rose Gold Gems, and the other is a retail analytics solution. I'm also a junior at the University of Hawaii at Manoa, double majoring in entrepreneurship and marketing. I'm also the president of Hawaii Student Entrepreneurs, which is a shadow club at UH Manoa dedicated to helping students successfully start and run their own businesses. Kolohe Ocean Gems is a handmade jewelry company. We combine Hawaiian seashells, Tahitian pearls, and road-wide stones, and we use 14-karat yellow gold fill and sterling silver metals to bring you cute, beachy items. So I started Kolohe Ocean Gems when I was 16 years old, a sophomore at Kaiser High School. And I started it because I was working at Magnolia, which is a super cute little boutique in Kahala Mall. And so working at Magnolia, I saw these jewelry pieces that were being sold, and I decided that I wanted to make jewelry. And so from there, I went to Ben Franklin. And I remember when I was 16 years old, my first investment was like $50, which was a lot super back in the day for me when I was younger. And I made my first jewelry pieces. And they actually were really ugly, but I still tried to sell them, and I did sell them eventually. And then I started selling at Magnolia. I started selling at my Kaiser High School, and then I started selling in a few other stores, and from there it kind of just blew up. Most recent entrepreneurial projects include creating a project to send 10 UH Manoa students to San Francisco to tour the big Silicon Valley businesses. And we recently just launched a student-run retail store down at the Ohana Hall Marketplace in Ward. I am projected to graduate in May 2020, so I have 2 more years. I definitely don't see myself working for anyone again. Being so used to being my own boss, making my own hours, and taking care of everything, I don't see how I could go back to working on someone else's schedule. So I don't know if I'm necessarily gonna stay on the jewelry track, but definitely would continue to be an entrepreneur in whatever I decide to do. I would say that my target customer is a millennial between the age of 18 to 24. Obviously women. I do have some men customers, and that's another segment, boyfriends and husbands. But especially in Hawaii, there's a lot of jewelry artists, and a lot of millennials like that beachy young look, and so that's kind of the brand for my business. It definitely works out well that I'm attending university and my target market are my peers. I created a marketplace at the university where a few days a week, me and a couple other student vendors sell on campus. The GE was really easy process to do, and I just did that online when I was like 16. And then once I got to college, I established my LLC, and then that's when I hired an accountant. To take my business seriously until I got to the university. Once I got to UH Manoa, I went on a few different programs. So the first program, when I realized the true potential of my jewelry, was it was a Women's Business Enterprise National Council in Vegas. And so I was one of 24 women, female students selected from around the world to participate in this program. It was a week-long program in Vegas. There was a pitch competition. There was a big business and conference fair where Fortune 500 businesses attended, and there were workshops. And so a week before this, I actually took my sisters to Portland, and I wanted to sell at one of the big craft fairs, but we didn't have time to get a booth. So we actually just set up shop in this little corner, and we were using the airplane's blanket as our table cover, as our tablecloth. And in that first spot, we actually got kicked out because one of the other vendors were like, "You can't be here." And so we moved our station to where all the homeless people were selling like They're little trinkets made out of trash. And so from there, nothing sold. And eventually we moved over and we found a little spot, but nothing sold because we didn't have nice displays. And I remember at that point I was really bummed, and it was really embarrassing for me because it was in front of my sisters and it was our last day in Portland, and so I felt like I had wasted the day. And then the next week I was in Vegas at that program, and I got the opportunity to sell at the big National Business Conference Fair alongside Fortune 500 businesses. And I remember I didn't have any displays, so me and my friend that I was rooming with in the hotel, we went to the gift store, and since it's in Vegas, we've tried to look for anything that we could find as displays. So we were using like little smoke trays as displays, and little shot glasses, and the poker chips as displays. But it ended up working really well. We ended up selling all of the jewelry within like 4 hours, making a profit of over $1,000. And at this time, the next day after I sold out, I was pitching for another business idea. It was a tech idea because I didn't think that my jewelry business was big enough. And so that was a turning point in my career where I realized that my jewelry business had a lot of potential. And that's when I realized the true value of it. And it's a product that people want, and it's a fully scalable operation. I think that definitely the best parts is being able to be on my schedule and doing something that allows me so much flexibility, allows me to work on a lot of other projects that align with my business. And so I would say the best thing is having that flexibility in your schedule, making your own hours, making your own pay. And I think another good thing about being the founder of a business is that you don't have to answer up to anyone. And I really enjoy having that leadership of being the founder and CEO. And I think that's something that definitely really drives me. I would say that the worst part about being an entrepreneur is that everything depends on yourself. And so it's really hard to keep track with everything because you don't have anyone keeping you on track. And so, for example, if you go into a part-time job, it's easy to just clock in and clock out and go to work and then go home and not have to take the business or work home with you. But I think the most challenging thing is being the one person to have to overlook everything. Business has been going very well. I've been in talk with a few subscription boxes from the mainland. I just launched my wave rings on Amazon, and we are in contact with the buyers of the ABC store, and we've been setting meetings about trying to get my wave rings in there. We opened our showroom, our office in Chinatown, which has been doing really well. We just opened a student-run location where I'll be selling my jewelry in Ward. Our online website has been getting a lot of orders. We just hired our manufacturer in Hawaii. And so business is definitely doing really well. One key point that makes my business do well in the big saturated pool of other jewelry artists is my price point and my story. And so I try to keep my prices affordable, and it helps that I only sell in 2 retail stores. So it's direct to consumer, so it cuts out the middleman, and that lowers the cost for my customers. I also have a really good pool in where I get my supplies from, so I'm able to keep those costs really low, and in turn, that goes on to my customer who has a lower price. So my profit margins are about 50 to 70%. One example is my wave rings. So the reason why I'm focusing on these wave rings and why I'm selling them on Amazon, getting wholesale accounts for them in subscription boxes, is because they are super inexpensive to create, they're super quick to make, and they sell really well. And so my wave rings cost me about $2 in materials, including my time and labor. It takes me about 2 minutes to make one. and I wholesale them at $5 to $6, and I retail them at $15 to $30. And so my prices depend where I'm at. For example, if I'm doing a pop-up at the Blaisdell, then I'll wholesale the wave rings at $30 and they'll sell. If I'm doing a show at Manoa, I'll sell them for $15 because they would fly with college students. And so that's kind of a small example of how I price my products. And so that's why I'm trying to focus on these wave rings instead of the more custom designs, because they're quick and they're easy to sell. So we do a few different things for marketing. I have all my platforms, which would be my Etsy, my Shopify, and then my Instagram. And the reason why I use Shopify is because it connects to my Instagram and my Facebook. And so I just found that for my business personally, Shopify was meant to sell, and it's been very successful recently. And then we use Instagram. Instagram, I would say, is a big business tool, and I would suggest it to anyone. I would say I get about 40% of my business just being on Instagram. And so a lot of the marketing strategies that we do at our pop-up events is we'll offer a certain percentage off if you post a picture with us. We also do giveaways, and so we try to do giveaways once a month at least. And whenever we do giveaways, it's always really good because then other people will post about us. And so I think definitely Instagram is one of the stronger platforms that I use. So I go to a few different supply stores on Oahu. I also go to different trade shows, and then I buy online. And so the big trade show that I go to for jewelry is called the Douglas Trade Show. They come here about 4 times a year at the Blaisdell, and that's how I find my material suppliers. And so you can bargain with them, and they all want to give you the better deal than the other guy. And so whoever gives me the best deal, I'll test out the quality of the materials, make sure it's solid, and then they'll turn into my lifelong supplier. I think there's a lot of things in life that motivate me to succeed, but if I had to pin it down, I would definitely pin it down to my family. So I come from a family of 12. I have 7 blood siblings and 5 step siblings. And so growing up, I got my first job when I was 14 years old because my dad couldn't give us allowance. And none of my older siblings went to college. And so I think that I really wanted to break out of that cycle. And I wanted to show my younger siblings that we can do really big things if we just put in enough hard work and dedication. I would say that my strength is saying yes to everything, and that is also my weakness. I'm very good at execution, and so that's why once I say yes to something, I can play it through and I can do a really good job at executing it. But that's also my weakness because I hop on things too fast, and in turn I really stress myself out. Another weakness is forgetting to take time for myself, and definitely forgetting to feed my body sometimes and drink water. But that's something that I'm working on, and yeah. The best advice that someone has given me, and it's a quote that really stuck out. We brought in the founder of Big City Diner for our club for a speaker series, and I remember him saying, luck is when preparation meets opportunity. And that was probably the best advice that someone's ever given me, because it's very true. You can't just sit around and wait for anything. And if you prepare yourself before, then you could say yes to opportunity when it comes your way, and you can be ready for it instead of doubting yourself. What I like best is I'm able to be on my own schedule, and that gives me a lot of time to do the things that I really want to do, and that gives me a lot of time to be flexible with my schedule. For example, if I don't want to work today, I don't have to work today, which I usually do work anyway. The worst thing about my job is being the one person that everything is relied on. I use 5 different calendars. I use a lot of different apps, And so I make sure that everything is in my calendar. Like I make my friends Google Calendar invite me, and they all get really annoyed, but I need to make sure that everything's in my calendar. And then I use this app called OneNote to keep track of everything it connects to my phone and it connects to my laptop. And so I would suggest that to anyone looking to organize and make sure you get everything done. I usually try to give myself at least 1 off day, 1 to 2 off days. And I try to just make sure that I have time for everything, and I try to add a little buffer time in my day just in case I'm falling a little behind. I would say another piece of advice that I would give to someone who wanted to start their own business is join Hawaii Student Entrepreneurs. We do a lot of workshops, we do company tours, but what I like about our club is it's a lot more hands-on. And so we try to help you from like the product and the idea to like the spin out selling stage. And so we do 3 shows at UH Manoa Campus Center, and that gives you the opportunity to kind of test the market in a comfortable zone, and then we can move you on to selling in our retail store. We also help a lot with workshops. I just did a workshop on how to create an LLC and do your GE tax license. One of the projects that I enjoy doing besides my jewelry business is helping other students. And we do a lot of different events to do that, and I am definitely here for anyone to